one who remains alive and continues to function during and after overcoming a serious hardship or a life-threatening disease. Just think about that for a second. Yeah. Overcoming a serious hardship or a life-threatening disease. If you had to give that person a name, what would it be? Yeah. The common name would be survivor. Yeah, a survivor. And when you think about it, as life turns and it exists, hardship or a life-threatening disease may present itself to you or one of your loved ones. And when it happens, man, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? What do you go through? And all of that goes into partly being a survivor. In this episode, we're going to take on a head-on look at a life-threatening disease, or diseases for that matter. With that being said, I want to welcome someone to When Black Men Talk. It's Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole, how are you?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
Doing very well. Doing very well. You and I basically have dealt with life-threatening diseases.
Right.
Yours would happen to be
Breast cancer.
Breast cancer. I found out about 4 years ago that I had a prostate cancer. So I want to start with basically myself. When I found out, it was something that I'm not saying it didn't surprise me, but my father years ago was diagnosed with prostate cancer. When he passed from a heart attack, but he had prostate cancer, and he had the form that basically metastasized and traveled through his body. I have a low-grade form of prostate cancer, which basically, for the most part, just kind of sits there. Some doctors don't even believe it's prostate cancer in a sense, but it kind of just basically sits there and doesn't really do anything. But so when I say that my father had it, when he passed, I think I was 34, 35. I started getting checked right away. I started getting checked for it immediately. It was many years that I was getting a finger pushed in the butt. So,
all the things we go through.
Oh my goodness! Once a year, that and the blood test, of course, and because at that point, as you know, we know if it's in your family, in a sense, you're almost kind of predisposed. That's what they tell us. Does anyone in your family previous to you, was diagnosed with breast cancer?
Not breast cancer, no.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Colon cancer, but not breast cancer.
Not breast cancer. Okay.
I was the first one.
Okay.
On both sides.
Now, I know within myself, I came across it. Basically, I was getting my testing done every year. And at 59, my PSA went up from 2.5 to 4.1. In reality, it was going to go up to 4 in the 4 range when I turned 60 anyway. But when it went to basically 4.1, my doctor said to me, Mark, you need to, your PSA went up, get you. And I said, well, in a couple of months it's going to go up. And he goes, yeah, but that's a radical jump. Go get you. And we went back and forth for a little while. She said to me, well, your father had prostate cancer.
So you weren't hearing anything. You didn't even want to talk about it.
No, because I just didn't think it was, I was like, it's going to jump anyway. So let's kind of wait. She's like, no, let's go get checked. And at that point, she set me up to go see a urologist. And at that point, seeing a urologist, he did a test and said it was smooth for the most part, which is a very good sign. But they want to do, of course, their MRI and did a biopsy. Mm-hmm. And they came across 3 lesions for the most part. At the time, an MRI picked out 3 lesions, and the biopsy basically went in. And what happens is at that point, they determine what type of grade, what type of cancer that those lesions are. Right. And again, I had the low grade. So for the most part, I remember after doing the biopsy, had to wait to get the results of where it was going to basically be, and I guess how we're going to handle it from that point forward. And I remember doing a video call with the doctor that did the biopsy, and he comes on. I'm sitting there. I got my hat on. I'm sitting there, and he looks at me and starts laughing. All he said to me is, "You're going to be great." That's all he said to me. You're going to be great, and I kind of proceeded from there. Yeah. Let's go back. And how did you come across your diagnosis?
So the crazy thing is I was supposed to go for my mammogram. Women are supposed to go. Well, then it was when you're 40 years old. And I kept putting it off. And then my friend Brenda was diagnosed with breast cancer, and hers was stage 4. And there was a big fundraiser for her. So we went to the fundraiser, and I'm talking to her. I'm like, oh my God, you know what, Brenda, I gotta go. Now that you have stage 4, and she was 40 as well, I said, I gotta go for my mammogram. Or she was probably 42 at the time. So finally I made the appointment because of Brenda. And when I went, I had to go back the second time because they had to do another exam, a second exam. So I was a little hesitant. I'm like, all right, something might be wrong. But then when the doctor came in, when she was doing the second exam to look at the screen, I said to myself, I'm like, I got breast cancer. As I'm laying there, I'm like, I know it. I got breast cancer. So then I left. And then a couple days later, my doctor called me. And she's like, Nicole, because what I told my doctor was, I said, I want the results no matter what. I said, I'll come in and see you. I said, but if you get the results before my appointment, call me. So I was driving down the street, and she called. She said, well, you wanted the results either way, right? I said, yeah. I said, I'm not waiting. She said, no, you do have breast cancer. And I knew it. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know how. I mean, I felt nothing wrong with myself. I felt fine. But for some reason, I knew I had breast cancer.
Okay. Let's stay at that moment for a second. She placed the call, and you said you knew it.
I knew.
What were your thoughts after hearing her say to you, you have breast cancer, your feelings, your thoughts? What sort of things were racing around in your mind?
Well, she said the good thing was it was only stage 1. And she's like, probably you'll just need surgery and radiation. She's like, but, we'll figure out more. But I think that's going to be it right now. And then I thought, I'm going to be fine. I am going to be fine. It was the weirdest feeling. Like, just as, like, I knew I had it and I knew I was going to be fine. But again, I think that's because it was stage 1.
Yeah, I like that, and I felt the same way. It's interesting because prior to that, when you hear the word cancer, like I said earlier, it carries a mental weight in a sense, and even when it didn't involve you, it kind of carried a mental weight. But ironically, when the possibility of me having prostate cancer, you would have thought, if I would have maybe thought about that years ago, I would say, man, that's going to rock my battleship. And I was like, it didn't at all. And it just, I'm not going to say it was a sense of calmness, but it was a sense that whatever this is, God is going to allow me to deal with it and basically move forward.
Yeah, it was a weird feeling. It just, like it almost was like a calmness. It's like, oh, thank God they caught it now, type thing.
Yeah. Now, prior to your friend having stage 4, was there thoughts in your mind that you may get tested or you should get tested?
I knew I had to. Never thought like I would have it because nobody in my family had it. But I knew it was something I had to do, but I just kept putting it off. But no, I didn't think that I would be diagnosed with breast cancer at all.
Yeah. I didn't think, I know there was a possibility with my father, and I started, for men, they wanted us to wait at 40 to start getting tested. I started at 34, 35, which I thought was, the thing to do. I had 2 brothers. One has passed, one is still living. They were older than me, and they wouldn't get tested at all for whatever reason. They would not. I'm not sure. I don't know if probably, but they would not. My oldest brother is 70 now, 71. He just got tested a year ago.
Okay, I had to go.
It went well.
Oh, good.
And
good.
He's 40. You would think at 40, so he went 30 years past the recommended age of being tested. Mm-hmm. And if I brought the conversation up to him throughout the years, he would just get quiet. And a lot of men, for the most part, are reluctant to go get tested. A lot of men put it off, don't think about it. And I never want to be one that kind of wait to it kind of hit me and go, you know what? I could have did something, or I should have been doing something different. And I really, realistically, when I came across, my father having it, I heard about prostate cancer, but didn't know much about it. I kind of heard a little bit. And it's one of those things you kind of say to yourself at that time, yeah, that's later on in life. In your 30s, what are you thinking about that for? So you had it in the back of my mind. I didn't focus on it. But once Dad had it and passed, I just started doing a little research. I started from time to time doing a little research and paying attention to it more, started trying to understand it. And I think that helped me out a lot when I was diagnosed for the most part. And I remember for the urologist that I had for the first 3 years, and I'm not trying to, pat myself in the back, but I started doing my homework and I started saying some things to him that he had no idea. And I was saying to him, if I do X, Y, Z, will this help out? Will this do blah, blah, blah? And it was foreign to him. And I realized that this guy was kind of a cookie cutter, meaning that for the rest of my life, for the most part, I am prescribed to basically, do a PSA, get an MRI, and, a biopsy if I choose to. Well, every time we talked, he was pushing biopsy, and there was really no need to. Even if my numbers came down, well, let's get a biopsy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so recently, about a year ago, two of my PIRADs went away. They just,
Wow.
it just went away. And so realistically, when I get my MRIs done to where now on your chart, they'll see your information. So before I had a conversation with them, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
So when we talked video chat, he was like, yeah, da, 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 da. I said to him, a couple of the PIRADs went away. Yeah, but we need to do the biopsy. I'm like, why are we going to do a biopsy if the other two went away? I mean, let me celebrate this first before you go sticking something up my ass. Excuse my language. I suggest this. I mean, really. I mean, because through God's help and grace and my, some things that I was doing to basically take that away, and it's like to him, it meant nothing. And at that point, I knew you'll no longer be the person that treat me. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I changed from him because I take my health serious. And if you're just a cookie cutter and just basically doing script, they tell you what to do and earning your living, God bless you, but you're not looking at me anymore. And so I tell anyone that's diagnosed with anything, learn what's going on before you even diagnose. Learn what's going on with you. Learn about your body, your health. Don't leave it to others, for the most part, to lead and steer you. Now, they're there to help you and do what they do. Of course, they went to school for many years, don't get me wrong, but just don't take it out of their mouth as it being the gospel and it's being God. Because a lot of them really just they're not as well educated as you think they are. Just because they put the white coat on doesn't mean they're it.
Right. Some of them are have more information, do more research. You got to find the right doctor that works for you, the one that you trust.
Now, so when you found out, you started a form of radiation and other things. Let's go there. What did you have to do to treat the stage 1 breast cancer?
So first, I had to go for surgery. They did a biopsy of the tumor, but they also do a biopsy of your lymph node too to make sure it doesn't spread. So that was the first step. And then everything came back, it didn't go to my lymph nodes, which was thank God. And then I had to start radiation. So I think it was so long. Like I think it was either 20 or 25 treatments. You go every day, 5 days a week. And you're only there for a few minutes in the radiation, getting radiation. And then after that, when that was done, then they put me on a pill called tamoxifen. And that was supposed to be for 10 years. But what happened is after 5 years, my doctor called me, the oncologist, and she said, we can do a biopsy of the piece of tumor that they took out. The tumor that they took out, she said, we can do a biopsy on that and see the likelihood of it coming back, the breast cancer. So, I had to call the insurance company to make sure they weren't going to charge me a crazy amount of money. And after I did that, finally, paid zero, which thank God, it came back that it was 98% gone. So
Beautiful.
Yeah, they'll never give you 100% that it's gone, but that 98% was good enough. So she took me off the tamoxifen. Nice. And it was weird because when she did that, she's like, "Well, that's it. I don't need to see you anymore." And it was kind of like bittersweet. It was like, "Wow, this is exciting, but I'm not ready to let you go yet."
Why is that? Why aren't you ready to release and let go?
Because I didn't believe that it was gone. Like, what if something happens? She was my security blanket for cancer, basically, for
Okay.
breast cancer.
Yeah.
Because I was going every 6 months to go see her.
Okay. I could understand that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every 6 months for 5 years to go see her. So then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're free. You get to go. You don't have cancer anymore.
Uh, do you walk around since then? Have you walked around thinking about it recurring, or is it something that's basically kind of put out of your mind?
Uh, I think about cancer, not so much breast cancer, but other types of cancer. So with the tamoxifen, one of the side effects is getting I believe it was uterine cancer.
Hmm.
So yeah, I believe I'm pretty sure it's uterine cancer. So I was always leery of that, and then also my mother and also my grandmother passed away from colon cancer, and I have Crohn's disease. So the likelihood of me getting colon cancer is high. But
Hmm.
I do go for my colonoscopies every 2 years
Good.
for that reason. But
Good.
I wound up having a hysterectomy because I was afraid of getting cancer.
Okay.
So it was more like a prevent. I was able. I mean, I had a couple other things wrong with me that my doctor was able to say we can do a hysterectomy, but even she was on board. She's like, let's just take everything out. She's like, you don't have to worry about getting cancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you first found out, I'm going to travel back to that moment too, because when you first found out that you had stage 1 breast cancer,
Mhm.
did you share it with your immediate circle, or did you keep it to yourself for a period of time? And if you did, what was the reaction to it?
So I immediately called my sister. After I hung up with the doctor, I called my sister, and she happened to be with my uncle. She was taking him out food shop, and so I told her, and she told my uncle. I said, "Don't say anything to Daddy. Don't tell Daddy yet." I said, she's like, "No, no, 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 don't tell him." I said, "I have to tell him." I said, "Just don't tell him yet. Let me figure out when." And my friends, I told immediately too, only because I wanted them to get checked.
Hmm.
Especially us being so young. I mean, 40 years old, or I was probably like 44 when I got it. For me, is young for breast cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I thought, anyways. But now that I've had
Hmm.
it, I've realized a lot of people around that age have had it.
Yeah.
Um,
It's ironic. I saw a news story yesterday or the day before. It was a young lady, 29 years old. She gave
mhm.
birth to a child and breastfeeding the child. When the child was about 7 months old, it was determined that her left breast had breast cancer
Oh my God.
at 29. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
it hits any age.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing too, that even with colon cancer, I mean, I remember years ago, the thing was wait till you get to 50, don't even think about it. But age is not a thing anymore when it comes to it. It really
No,
isn't.
cancer
Yeah.
doesn't discriminate.
No, kind of basically moves at its own pace. I
Yep.
know for myself when I found out, I didn't really kind of say anything to really anyone. I kind of held on, and the family for the most part. One of my brothers just passed shortly prior to that,
Mm.
and I didn't really want to say anything to them to scare them
Oh, yeah,
because my head was good with it, but I kind of felt if they heard the word cancer,
yeah,
they would have automatically thought the worst.
yeah,
They would have just took it there and just got on a motorcycle and went right there. And I was like, no, that I don't
yeah,
want to do to them. So I waited a while until I felt like, for the most part, they can hear it when we say that and then understand where it is without basically taking it to where, because of the grieving process they were going through,
right,
they would
right.
think that, it's just automatic XYZ. And I find that when I say that to people in general about prostate cancer, think, oh, you hear the word cancer in general, the 6-letter word. A lot of times we just automatically go there. We just basically feel
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely. Especially when your family's just been through another trauma. So of course that's the first thing they're going to think of.
I'm curious to know when you were waking up in the morning during the treatment process, what was your mental mindset like?
And is this over yet? Like, somebody we work with also had cancer, and we were talking about it one day, and he hit the nail right on the head. He said it's an inconvenience. And it
Hmm.
really is, because it's like, you're getting up every morning. You have so many different doctor's appointments, um, so many different doctors you're meeting. But then once it gets to radiation, at this point, you're like, am I almost done? Because this is just getting exhausting now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day you're driving. I went to Guilford because I live close to Guilford. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like 20 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have a certain parking spot for you.
Mm-hmm.
You go in, you're in there for probably 10 minutes and you leave. But it
Okay.
was just like, am I done yet?
Yeah. It sounds like you were surrounded by good help, your doctors and the people that were caring for you. They sound like they did a very good job.
Yeah. No, they did. I had my sister and my nephew living with me at the time. We all lived together, and that was a big help too.
Mm-hmm.
Family around you, and yeah, all my family friends, good doctors, and you got to have the positive attitude as well. I mean, obviously, are we done yet? Isn't a good attitude, but it was just like
Oh, you spoke of your dad not being hesitant to tell him when you finally did tell your father how the things go.
Oh, he cried like a baby.
Yeah.
I was actually, that morning I was going to work, and I was working a long day. I think it was like a 12-hour day, and one of our coworkers pulled me aside. He said, "You okay today?" I said, "Why, it shows." He's like, "Hey, you look nervous." I said, "Well, I got to go to my dad's house after this and let him know I had cancer." So for me, all day, I had anxiety because I knew it was going to make him worry and break his heart, you know. But I
Yeah.
remember telling him, like, everything's going to be okay. And he's like, "But it's not okay. You have cancer." You know,
Yeah.
it was hard on him. Once he found out it didn't spread to my lymph nodes, he felt relief.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was
It's
probably the
this.
hardest part, was telling him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting when you think about it. You're having stage 1 breast cancer, and the hardest part was telling your father. But then
Hmm.
again, that 6-letter word, cancer, carries that
Hmm.
physical weight, and that psychological that goes with it, and that mental anguish that comes from it. And in reality, it sounds like to me, and I know for me, um, the part of knowing and having it kind of reconfirms some things about myself that I already knew.
Like,
And that I have that inner strength.
yeah,
Yeah, that I have
yeah.
that inner strength that I could stand back and look at things objectively, not get lost in the moment of what if. Because sometimes the what if will drive you crazy.
Oh,
And
definitely.
yeah, avoiding the what ifs and really realizing something that was instituted in my mind a long time ago by my grandmother and my mother, is that God is never going to give you more than what you can bear.
True.
And hanging on to that always, again, it was like, okay, I'll see
Hmm.
you in 6 months. I'll see you. And kind of again pushing myself to learn more, understand more, and to build that confidence to where when I go in for my checkups, I'm not just going in for basically I'm just here. I understand the process, understand what's going on. And that takes some time. I mean, as far as when I say time, I've listened to other guys have had it,
Hmm.
did some reading, and really got involved because I wanted to just confirm what I was thinking and feeling. But for me, it really did confirm, some those things about me. So that's the question I have for you. What were some things that you look back now that was going on back then that said to you, this is Miss Nicole?
Well, like your mother and your grandmother are right. God will never give you what you can't handle. So, yes, you always will get through it. So, yeah, then you do realize I am stronger than what I think I am.
Yeah. It's interesting because
Me too.
a lot of folks, again, hear the word or they go through it. And there's different forms of cancer, and I'm not making light of any, and no means stretching imagination. But I think the mindset that you carry plays a crucial part in your healing and what's
It
going
does.
on. Yeah, it plays a
Yeah.
crucial part because the mind and the body works together in conjunction.
Mm-hmm.
And if you basically allow the mind to kind of buy into the what ifs and the disaster part, I think it plays a part. And I have no statistics to back that, but my honest belief, it plays a part in your healing.
I believe it does too. A lot of, it helps you fight, so you're going to be positive about it. And, I'm going to get through this. It helps you definitely get through your day, as opposed to, oh, why me? Can I get through this? Then it makes it harder to get out of bed when you start thinking negatively like that.
Yeah. I remember the day that you said to me, we were just walking and you said, I'm a breast cancer survivor. Mm-hmm. And you said it like you was going out to lunch, like it was. And that's what, even though, you being a breast cancer survivor would get my attention too. But that really caught my attention because, some people will say it and they want to bring you back to a moment of sorrow and this and that. And it's like, no, I was a breast cancer survivor. It's like,
I had that. I honestly think because I was blessed because I didn't have to get my breast removed. I didn't have to do chemo. When you do chemo, then you get sick. So I always think my version of breast cancer for me was just a walk in the park only because it was stage 1 and I was lucky to catch it so soon and to just have radiation. I guess in the whole scheme of things, it is a big deal, but I look at other people, like 2 of my friends, Brenda was one of them. She had stage 4. And then my friend Denise, after I got tested, she got tested and she wound up with stage 3 and she had to do chemo. And
wow.
Everybody's fight is different.
Yeah.
So, when in the whole group of us, my 2 friends are really like, I look at them as breast cancer survivors. I don't look at myself as a breast cancer survivor. It's weird.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and I don't know about the one your friend has, the stage 4, at what point it was determined, but just your general consensus. Do you think that women are basically doing the home exams and really checking for breast cancer in general?
It's hard to say. I mean, I never did. And, some people will say that, they do them, but I never did. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah, if I had to speak on the men's side of getting tested, I don't think as men we're doing it enough. I really don't.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of men. I mean, that finger in the butt stuff and that stuff is like, yeah.
That's why nobody gets checked.
Yeah, and
that's exactly why.
Yeah, and I think too, a lot of men don't want to know.
Right.
They don't want to know until it's time to know. And that mindset, maybe a good one, maybe a bad one, but I think for a lot of men, it's like, and they think too, partly that if I'm feeling okay, everything is okay. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times well, not a lot of times, prostate cancer at all, for the most part, if you're feeling something from it, it's kind of too late. It really is. It's kind of too late. And that's not the mindset to have. And I think they walk around with that, well, everything's going fine and everything's good. And it's like, no. And it's almost, it's scary in a way. It's scary. And
it is, because you really have to do that preventative, like the checkups. That's why we're allowed to get them, even with the breast cancer. Like,
yeah.
If the insurance, that's another thing. But if the insurance allows us to get it, go get it.
Yeah.
Because if you catch it early enough, like you and I did,
mm-hmm.
it's less of a struggle. If you catch it later, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. It could be a really long, hard battle, or it could end up the way we don't want it to end up.
Yeah, that's true. It just amazes to me that we still find ourselves here where people, for the most part, that aren't really kind of paying attention or kind of locking in and taking the early steps to basically see what's going on. But I guess for the most part, that's life. But I love the fact that, you're living your life with a zest, excluding excitement, happiness, and joy. And I look at that, I look at both of us in a sense. We're more than conquerors, basically, because realistically, we had some trials, but we turn those
Right.
opportunities of trials into growth, and we used our strength, and never forgetting that, God transcends any adversity for the most part. And we kept that in the forefront of our mind, and look where we are now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny that we did this in October because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month too.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't even think about that,
Yeah.
but I'm glad we did. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I like to post something on my Facebook because when I first got it, I did put something on Facebook. Not that oh my God, I had breast cancer. I just put something about breast cancer, and just it wasn't poor me. It was raise awareness for other people.
Uh,
Like, hey, if I can get it, you can get it too. And again, that was the whole age thing. I didn't think that that was possible, but I guess
yeah.
that was just me being naive.
Yeah. That's understandable. One who remains alive and continues to function during and after overcoming a serious hardship or a life threatening disease. And fair terminology for that, survivor. So, I'm going to kind of put it there and leave it there. I'm glad that we had a chance to basically have this conversation.
Me
It's a
too.
conversation I think that needed to be had for the most part, really is, because I hope someone hears this that maybe not have been tested and go get tested. Someone basic,
Please, please,
someone hears
yeah.
it that basically might have been thinking, I need to go to, and it gives them that little bit of more, push and, get them to do it, because it really is important. I mean, I know,
It is very important.
yeah, doctors say it, and sometimes we kind of hear them when we don't hear them, but in reality, it is. And a lot of times we get in situations, I've seen this over a period of time, people get in situations, they want to get mad at the doctors. They only can do but so much. They really can. They
Yeah,
need your help, and they need you to kind of help them to be what the best they can be. And if you're,
that's true. Those words are
yeah,
true. Yep.
yeah. So we have to kind of make sure we're doing our thing. Miss Nicole, I appreciate it. I really do. I enjoyed the conversation.
Me
And
too. Thanks so much, Mark.
oh no, thank you. I appreciate you coming by.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something that definitely need to be talked about, and I'm glad we did. It's When Black Men Talk. I want to thank Miss Nicole for stopping by. Yeah, again, don't wait. No matter what it is, colonoscopy, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, find yourself a good primary care physician. Connect, basically develop a rapport, relationship, and check on your tempo at all times.